Now, the reason that we've called you here today is we want to address this recent surge of hate crimes that has been occurring across our metropolitan area. Now, there's no real reason for it that anyone can come up with. I have my own theories. In my opinion, we've just been more visible. Marriage equality is passing in state after state at an unprecedented rate right now. There's more and more gay and lesbian characters on television, in film, and again, I think it's the visibility. And people have a tendency to fear what they don't understand. Somebody dresses a little bit differently, someone doesn't think the same way, someone doesn't act the same way. It tends to strike fear in some people. Now, seriously, everybody has somebody in your life that's LGBT. A coworker, friend, brother, cousin, sister, aunt, uncle, or a parent. And we are everywhere. We're working at the post office, libraries, the police force, city council, even the state and federal government. We're part of society. We've always been part of society. We just refuse to be hidden anymore. We are coming out in the open. Now, because we refuse to be hidden, some small-minded people express their fear and ignorance in violent ways. There appears to be a rise in the number of these incidents that are reported as hate crimes. Now, if you only listen to the media reports, you might think that these things only happen in Manhattan. Well, we're here to say that this takes place everywhere, including the Bronx. And it is going to stop. Interestingly, we've had some difficulty in getting actual statistics on the amount of hate crimes that have occurred, simply because many of them are not even reported. Many people don't even report these incidences. For example, someone that we had asked to be here today, I don't see him yet, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to attend, is Ted. He's a Bronx resident. And in the past 3 years, he has been beaten twice. He is regularly taunted. He's been followed home many times by gangs of youth shouting anti-gay slurs at him. Now, we don't know why, but he did not report any of these things. Some of the possibilities on why people don't report these incidences could be a fear of retaliation. Maybe they're afraid if they do say something that their attackers are going to come at them even harder. Sometimes people might think that, oh, it's just part of the culture. It's expected. If I act this way, then I'm a target and I, in a way, deserve to be beaten up. Wrong. And another reason might be that they have a fear that nothing will be done, even if they do report it. Whatever the reason is, these have to change. This has to change. We also have a lot of drag queens and transgender people who work in clubs or host events that live here in the Bronx as well. And they have to have cars pick them up at their doorstep, drive them to the club or the event, and return them home afterwards. Excuse me, because they're afraid to walk down their own streets in fear of being attacked. Now, if we don't do anything, if we don't say anything, if we just let it go, then basically we're telling the attackers, oh, it's okay to beat up gay people. There's no consequence. Wrong. We have just as much right to walk down these streets as anybody else. Now, I'm asking the community of the Bronx, to please talk about this within your families. Express to your kids, tell your kids that it's wrong to beat up LGBT, it's wrong to beat up anybody in actuality. And we're also asking the We have a number of outreach initiatives planned. Number one we will be going out into the community by taking to the streets, where we, in partnership with the Anti-Violence Project and Scan New York, to let the community know that we are here and we offer helpful literature. We will be handing out helpful literature as well. Number two is we will be engaging the community in town hall meetings starting in August to discuss issues relevant to the LGBT community. And everyone is invited, not just the LGBT, but the community involved as well. And we will be partnering with the GLASS program of Scan New York to bring their over-the-rainbow panels to some of these meetings. Thirdly, we will be working closely with the wonderful men and women of the NYPD to help raise awareness of the LGBT's victims' needs. And finally, we are happy to announce that we will be having our 2013 Bronx LGBTQ Pride and Health Fair on Saturday, July 20th at Crotona Park. And it'll be from noon until 6 p.m. So more information on that can be found at bronxpride2013.eventbrite.com. Or you can call 347-LGBT-BX1 and leave your name, number, and your email. Or the email address, I know there's a lot of these. And the email address is info@bronxlgbtqcenter.org. Again, my name is Tim Moss. I am president of the Bronx LGBTQ Center, and we will not tolerate these incidences anymore. So, thank you. Now, I would like to introduce you to the Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. We thank Ruben Diaz Jr. very much for his support, as well as hosting us here today, so that we can address these important issues. We thank you very much. We look forward to working very closely with your office. Ladies and gentlemen, Borough President Diaz.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Borough Hall. Let me just begin by saying, Tim, you did a wonderful job. This is your first press conference, and let's give him a strong round of applause for getting out. Many of you know that since I became the Borough President, I always said that I wanted to meet everyone as Borough President in the Borough of the Bronx. We have a rich, diverse borough of 1.4 million residents, and that includes the LGBTQ community as well. When the Pride Center shut down, we have the Bronx Pride Coalition meeting here in this building to make sure that we provide the services that we bring to health providers and other providers, and for that I want to thank and recognize the folks from the Bronx Pride Coalition for the work that you're doing. Who's here from the Pride Coalition? Let's give them a strong round of applause. I wanted to once again thank Tim and the Center for hosting this press conference. And so when you reach out to our office, this is an easy one, to make sure that we have this type of press conference right here at Borough Hall in the Borough of the Bronx. And let me tell you why. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you that every single hate crime is deplorable. Every single hate crime is unacceptable. But when you see in the city of New York a spike to more than double of hate crimes towards those in the LGBT community, that is something that we have to say collectively as one, certainly as one borough and one city, that we would not tolerate. And that's why I wanted to make sure that here in the Bronx, people understood that we are dead serious about making sure that hate crimes to the LGBT community will not be accepted or tolerated right here in the Bronx. We are outraged the world know that maybe, Tim, there's been a low instance of reporting, or very low reporting here in the Bronx. We know that a lot of these hate crimes are happening in Manhattan and other boroughs. To the purpose, let me be clear, let me tell you that we will not accept this in the Bronx, and if you decide to attack someone from the LGBT community, we will identify you. You will be caught, and you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. The fact of the matter is that our LGBT community is filled with hardworking, loving individuals who are pillars in our community and who work each and every single day as teachers, businessmen and women to uplift our neighborhoods and the local community. And think about this, in this day and age, in this society, it's unconscionable that someone would be attacked simply because of the way they choose to live. For me, as a Latino, as a Puerto Rican, it angers me, it's troubling that when you see of the 13 recent attacks that have hit the news in the city of New York, that the overwhelming majority of the suspects have been Latino men. There's something sick about that. There's something that we in the Latino community have to address about how our young men are being raised and how they are the ones out there attacking. And so I look forward to working with the center, with the coalition. I look forward to working with everyone, not just those of the LGBT community. We stand united. We stand as one borough, as one Bronx, to say that our diversity is our strength. And certainly when you see that the Bronx is headed in the right direction, that is because we have a strong and vibrant LGBTQ community that's contributing to the progress of this borough. And so we will work within this borough and outside of this borough throughout the city of New York with my good friend, who's a state senator. I know that we've done work in Harlem with Melissa Margarita. We have to raise awareness. We have to educate. We have to go out there and let the men and women of the LGBT community understand that they have an entire community, an entire political establishment who are here to help them, who are here to make sure that they live safe, that they live productive lives, and that we cherish the work that they do here in our city. Brevemente en español. Estamos aquí hoy unidos como un solo lado, como una comunidad. Estamos aquí porque nos sentimos enojados de que en la ciudad de Nueva York hemos visto un doble de los ataques en contra de los homosexuales y la gente en la comunidad del LGBTQ. Yo como presidente del condado de Bronx le estoy diciendo a aquellas personas que se creen que van a venir a nuestro condado a atacar a esta comunidad, están equivocados. Están equivocados. Nosotros lo vamos a identificar, lo vamos a arrestar y sí van a tener el peso del sistema judicial lo más fuerte posible. Yo le quiero dar las gracias al señor Tim por todo lo que ha hecho en su organización. Le quiero dar las gracias a la comisión y le queremos dejar saber que aquí en el condado de Bronx vamos a andar con ellos, vamos a tocar puertas, vamos a educar, vamos a dejar saber a todos los que están en esta comunidad que nosotros, como oficiales electos, seamos homosexuales o no, estamos aquí para proteger, para trabajar, para unidamente seguir con el progreso de este condado. Y finalmente le quiero decir que yo me siento afortunado de que la mayor parte de los sospechosos que siguen atacando a esta comunidad en la ciudad de Nueva York son jóvenes latinos. Yo como latino le estoy pidiendo a los latinos y a la comunidad latina, tenemos que tener una conversación real, una conversación con nuestros niños, con nuestros varones, que lo que ellos están haciendo es algo que Está la casa del pueblo del condado del Bronx. And this is the chambers, this is the rotunda and borough hall for the people of the Borough of Bronx. And certainly that means the LGBTQ community. So we're going to move forward, we're going to keep educating, we're going to keep marching on, we're not going to tolerate it. Tim, thanks for the good work, to the coalition, thank you for the good work. And all of us, we understand that we have much more work to do, but as the borough president, I'm here to say presente, I'm here to say I'm present, I'm ready to work with each and every single one in this room and outside of this room to make sure that we don't have any more of these attacks citywide and certainly not here in the borough of the Bronx. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Borough President Diaz. Now please, another round of applause. Next up, I'm going to be calling New York State Senator Jose M. Serrano. Jose Serrano has been in support of our center right from the very beginning in its inception. We're so grateful for all of his support, and we're very honored to have him here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Serrano.
Thank you very much, Tim. It's really great to be here, and I love listening to the words of my friend, Borough President Ruben Diaz. He and I go way back. We went to school together as youngsters, and he is something I have a great deal of affection for. It sort of transcends politics, and it's a genuine friendship. And his leadership on this and many issues is extremely important. The fact that he's outspoken on this very important issue is something that is critical importance now more than ever before. Back in a little bit earlier today, I was with many of you who were in this room today. We had a roundtable discussion with Councilwoman Melissa Marguerite about ways to combat homophobia and transphobia in our community. And this is a particularly sensitive problem because while we feel, and we like to think that we've made so many great strides in areas like civil rights and human rights, in the Latino and African American community, in communities of color, there is still a bit of backward thinking at times. I'm going to come around from behind this. This is at Ruben's height. So there has been a major problem within our community where we don't see the drop in numbers of violence like we should. We don't see the drop in the numbers of HIV and AIDS in our community. And again, that has to do so much with the stigma that is still there within families, within the community. Having a very strong statement from the Bronx LGBTQ community with Tim and the Borough President, this really does give an opportunity for the young folks to reach the young folks, to give them the opportunity to know that their leaders support them and that they believe very strongly in them. And that hopefully that will bring people out of the shadows and bring them into a more safer, more nurturing environment. And there are many vehicles in which to do that. Many years before I became an elected official, I worked in the arts. My background is in theater. And the arts is one of those vehicles that sort of transcends everything. And one of the ways to break down homophobia and transphobia, I believe, in our community is to really support and promote the arts in places like the South Bronx and in East Harlem, because that brings everyone together, and it shows that all of us, regardless of sexual orientation, have so much to bring to the table. One other point that I wanted to mention, Tim was talking about the Bronx Pride event that's going to happen in July, and it goes on every year. I've gone every year, and I've been there with the Borough President, and every time that I go, the festival gets bigger and better and more enjoyable. It draws a mix of people. And I think to myself, man, 15 years ago, an event like this would have never been able to take place. In Crotona Park, in broad daylight, with the amount of violence that was aimed at the gay and lesbian community, an event like that would never have taken place. There would have been violence, there would have been bloodshed, people would have gotten hurt. But it goes to show that even though we have such a long way to go, that there has been a very strong level of evolution that we should be proud of, that we should be highlighting, that in the Bronx, we have an environment, thanks to people like Borough President Ruben Diaz, where the LGBT community feels that they can be safe. And that is one of the most important things that we as elected officials and that is to ensure that everyone in our community feels safe, being who they are, being in their community, not having to be in the closet, not having to hide who they are in order to be safe. So I thank all of them for their wonderful support. Thank you.
My name is Chanel Lopez, and I'm a Bronx community-based counselor advocate at the New York City Anti-Violence Project. The recent incidents of high-profile hate violence against the LGBT people in NYC highlight violence that LGBT people face every single day. So much of this violence goes unreported or does not get enough media attention. At AAP, we know that transgender and gender non-conforming people of color, and TGNC people of color are at the highest risk of violence. But that violence rarely gets attention. This is why at AAP, we are not only focused in Manhattan, but we have also branched out to all the outer boroughs throughout New York. We operate out of Staten Island, Brooklyn. We operate out of Franklin and Bronx. We have 4 collaborating community-based organizations, such as Community Healthcare Network, Bronx Aid Services, Citywide Harm Reduction, and right across the street, Bronx FJC. We always urge everyone to please access our 24-hour hotline, which is 212-714-1184, and of course that hotline is bilingual and it's accessed 24 hours. You can also visit our website at www.aap.org. And if you have any questions, I will be short and sweet, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Chanel Lopez, for Anti-Violence Podcast. At this time, I would like to present Cesar Sanchez. As I said earlier, we have reached out to some incredible organizations in the Bronx, and the doors have been flying open, and we have been very welcomed. And he is the president, is that correct? For the, no? Is of the executive board of Bronx Pride Coalition. And we are grateful to have him with us here today and his support. Please welcome Cesar Sanchez.
Okay, so I'm a little nervous. Thank you for having me here. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Bronx Pride Coalition. The coalition started with the support of the Bronx Board President in response to the closing of the Bronx Community Pride Center. A bunch of CDOs and community leaders came together to ensure that the LGBT voice was heard in our borough. Some of you also know me as the president of the Pride. It's a nonprofit which challenges LGBTQ stigma and violence in the Bronx. We were alongside with other leaders and allies in these very steps in 2010 in response to the Latin King Mooney's hate crimes. For those of you who do not remember it, I'm going to give you a brief overview. The Latin King Moonies were a group of youth who were led by an adult who actually tortured and beat one of their own members for having sex with a gay man. They then invited the man over to also beat and torture him as well. I'm happy to say that the hate crime resulted in arrest and eventually 9 convictions. This sparked numerous town hall meetings with different community boards to speak about the violence in the Bronx. It also pushed for an initiative to start gay alliances in Bronx schools. This is something that needs to be continued, and I hope that with this press conference, agencies will come together and continue these efforts. We need to continue to bring awareness in every borough that is. We need to continue to bring awareness in every borough, and we need to let everybody know that we're not going to tolerate this. Especially the people who do not report the hate crime, because yes, this happens every day, whether it's verbal or physical, and today it needs to stop. We will not tolerate it anymore. We will address this within our own community, and we will not forget. Let us remember the people who have passed away because of hate crime. Let's give a minute. And let's also remember a Bronx resident who was a victim of a hate crime and passed away, Francisco Pasio. So at the same time, to give a minute to those who have passed away. again, my name is Sanchez, and thank you for having me here. I'd like to announce an event that's going to happen in June 20th on a Thursday from 6 a.m., which is the Bronx LGBTQ Allies Award, which recognizes Bronx leaders and allies in the community who work for the LGBT community, which is also supported by the Bronx Borough President, and we're happening here. Once again, June 20th from 6 to 8. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Cesar Sanchez. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to bring up the pastor of In the Life Ministries, Reverend James Dusenberry. Thank you, Reverend James.
Praise God, everybody. Praise God. I want to thank Mr. Moss for putting this event together. I also like to thank our borough president and other officials who came here, because your presence validates a situation which other people would like to turn away from. My name is Reverend James. I'm the pastor of In the Life Ministries, the only openly gay church right here in the Bronx. And I just want to say that it's a travesty and a shame that people are beat up and even killed just because of who they are. It makes one step back and wonder what's going on in our society. What's going on that there's been a shift in morality, a shift such that violence is not only condoned, but in some cases even encouraged. Even in my church right here in the Bronx, people have driven by and they refer to us as the faggot church. And they call us other things which is not appropriate to say in a forum such like this. I often say that we have to be careful. We have to be careful of the messages that are preached from our pulpits. We have to be careful of the material which is taught in our schools. Because when hatred and intolerance is taught and preached, the end results will always be violence. I'm an interfaith minister, and I've studied many religions, and they all teach one thing. They don't teach that we need to understand one another. They don't teach that we have to understand why somebody does the things that they do, but they only teach that we need to love each other. And it is my prayer that one day we will learn to say, I don't need to understand why you do what you do, but in spite of it all, I still love you. And I think that if we keep the fight, one day we will get there. God bless you and be well.
It is a woman who runs the family. It is a woman who influences the community. It is a woman that stands behind every good man. It is. Sojourner Truth in 1809, attended a conference of white women who wanted equality. The only black woman, an emancipated slave who was enslaved here in New York, went to that conference in Akron, Ohio. A famous speech was heard, but 4 words were spoken that rang through society and penetrated the hearts and minds of every single human being. And she said, ain't I human? And today I stand before you and say, ain't we human? This is not about gay or straight. This is not about trans or bi. This is about us being human beings, coming together as one, not allowing this to take place anymore, recognizing that we have something in common, that we have